Okay, this is where it gets more detailed. So it gets the spline, goes down the spline and says, okay, what point in your index are you? Okay, matches it up. Gets the local tangent and the local location. For the local location, it breaks the vector, adds 50 to the z-axis, and what that's going to do is it's going to offset the number from the spline point. That way you're not setting them right on top of each other. You have a little bit of, like, you can actually see it. It's not going to be sitting right over the spline point. And then over here in the local tangent, it's going to rotate rotate from the x vector by negative your local tangent. And it's going to set that to your rotation. Add the text render component, come over here, and then it's going to set the text to your current track number, which again is just your index. Now let's see. Here's the really long one. The add track element. So in here, add track element, there's actually a full function right here, and this is where we're going to start. So it's a custom function. Comes in, has loop index and static mesh, which I believe is just a static mesh variable type. So very first thing, sets local current track point. Sorry, words are failing me today, guys. And it's going to come in here, do +1 to the loop index, modulate that by the number of spline points, so you can't go above the number of spline points. So if you try to access, like, let's say you only have 7 spline points and you try to go to 8, it's going to wrap it back down around to 0. Then that sets that to the local next track point. Come down here, you set your local track element mesh to your static mesh. And we're going to run a sequence. Come up here. So getting the local location and tangent for our current loop index. So local start position, local start tangent, and that's going to get the local location and tangent at the spline point that you were specifically looking at. Get the spline, local current track point, and that's where those two are going to be set. And we're going to go over here, get the location for the next one. So it gets the spline and gets the next one, which were set earlier in the script. Gets the location, tangent. Whee! Then it's going to determine the bank, the width, and the thickness right here by using a road data array. Get it, and that breaks this up into these different functionality here, which is all set within that structure, which we went over earlier, I believe. And so it's just coming up and going, okay, this is the roll, this is the X, this is the Y. Then it's going to do the same thing and do that for the next point. So it's always looking at this point, next point, this point, next point, this point, next point. That way it's constantly updating once you place it and start adding. Alright, so then after all of that, getting the locations and everything is done, it's going to come down here, add a spline mesh component, get the local current spline mesh as the return value of add spline mesh component. Come over here, set static mesh to the local current spline mesh and the local track element mesh. Then start and end, set your local start tangent, local start or local end tangent positions, all that good stuff, which is what we set up here. Then it's going to come over here, start and end roll, which is going to change, like, the if you look here where it's curving, that's kind of what we're looking at there. Whoop. Okay, set start and end scale, so the actual thickness of the road. So if you're wanting like a 1-lane road versus 2-lane road versus 3. Start and end scale. Enable and disable collision. So that's useful for, like, if you have areas of the road that you don't want to be colliding with, then you can set that here. And especially with splines, I suppose there are definitely times when you would not want collision with the spline. So that all very much depends on what you're trying to do. Okay, and I believe that is all of the different points in this thing here. And then I can show you kind of what it actually does, now that I've gotten all the talking out of the way. Okay. Get rid of that. So, come in, drag in a point. And as you can see, it literally is 2 points. Now, if I were to grab here, try to do this, it would start getting kind of screwy. So you want to make sure you grab your last point in the spline. That would be this one. Hold Alt, and I'm going to left mouse button, and it creates a road. And you can actually stretch this out. And these can go pretty much as far as you want them to, and it'll still be pretty much what you're looking at here. As you can see, it actually does stretch out this static mesh the longer you go. The difference is that in this case, it's just going to go straight up. But if you wanted to do something like a hill or something like that, you can grab here. And all this is all that math that you just did right in here. So let me get my construction script so we can kind of watch what's going on. Okay. There we go. So it's probably not going to show it because it's moving pretty much in one frame or two that all of this is happening. But as you can see, oh wait, no, this was because of that bug. There is a bug right now where collapse graphs don't show their executions, so forgive me for that. But you can see anytime you make a movement, add to it, constantly updating based on whatever you tell it. And what's cool is we can come in here, and if you select an individual point, like let's say, I don't know, what number is this? Can't see. 5. Okay, so number 5. If you hit the drop down arrow, you can actually add guardrails. So that was that boolean of just add guardrail, whether or not to do so. You can change the bank, so like right here, it's actually changing the curve. And of course you can always screw it up. You know, go like that, make it all janky. That is not a road I would ever want to drive on, but you can do it. Let's go ahead and set that there. You can change the width, so you know, if you wanted a really wide area for whatever reason and you didn't care about completely messing up everything. It's terrible. It's terrible. It's just terrible. Come back in here, but yeah. So that's pretty much, you know, what you can do with it. I mean, this is a really concise example. I definitely suggest tearing through it and seeing what you can come up with. I haven't had time to go through and make something different because I've had just a ton of stuff to do at work, especially with the preview releases releasing and everything like that. It's just been kind of chaotic. So hopefully I'll be able to get around to actually making something with them, and then I'll be able to give you a more detailed overview. But I highly recommend, if you are interested in splines, coming in, grabbing this example. It's free on the Learn tab, and just playing with it. You know, seeing what you can learn from it. Very much fun. Very useful tool. And if you're making a racing game, I mean, hell, that's half your work right there. Boom, track. Of course, I'm being facetious. Please, I'm not saying that half the work is just the tracks. The amount of physics and stuff that goes into freaking car games is ridiculous. Okay, but that's that. So let's see, y'all. Go ahead and bounce that out. If you have any questions about that, let me know. I will do my best to answer them. I'm not particularly good with splines, as I said, so take what I say with a grain of salt. This was just a base overview of what I was seeing as I was seeing it. Okay, so the next thing I wanted to work on was something that I've done before in the past. I haven't done this in a long time, so we're going to see if I can get this to work again. And that is a teleporter system. And let's see, need two variables at least. Teleporter 1. Teleporter 2. Okay, now these are going to be vector variables. And we're going to make them editable, and I want to be able to see their 3D widget. And that's going to become really important for what I'm doing. Okay, let me go turn off the autosave, because apparently I forgot to do that. Where is my autosave? Loading and saving, huh? Get rid of autosave. There we go. Now, of course, that means we're going to have to save a lot more often on our own, but I can get over that. Okay. Now, let's see. We need a static mesh component. I actually need a scene root. I forgot to put the scene root first, which is especially important for what we're about to do. And then I need another static mesh component. Then from this, I'm going to need a box collision, and we're going to parent that to one of the static meshes. And I need another box collision, and parent that to the other one. Okay. So let's choose a static mesh. What do we want to use today? You know, where's my table? I like popping in on a table. Okay. Then let's see, in the construction script, I'm going to go actor look or set. Oh, nope, it is set actor location. Okay. Okay, fine. We're going to set the world location to this. We're also going to change these to teleporter 1, teleporter 2. Set world location.